I think the big thing for me is doing a really good job preparing us for this game. I had 3 days off prior to getting here where I tried to use a lot of that time to get my Maryland stuff down packed and to be in position to hit the ground running whenever we get done playing. But, since we've been here, it's been all Alabama for the most part. I did a lot of stuff over the phone. We practiced up until, I want to say, Thursday, and then we had Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. Obviously, with having to travel on Christmas Eve, my family was in town, and so balancing between my family being in town for Christmas but I did a lot of phone calls, a lot of things, via FaceTimes, phone calls, recruiting, stuff like that. Yeah, luckily for me, I was here when Lane made the transition. I was here doing, Jeremy Pruitt's transition last year. So I think the schedule has been pretty much set. The big thing is the way our schedule is with preparation, it doesn't change. So you kind of know when you'll have the opportunity to spend some time on the other things. But, I owe it to this team to do a really good job to prepare us and put together a great plan for a great team in Oklahoma. Shoot, he's been battling. He's, all year long. I think Arkansas is where he got the knee. Obviously the first drive against Georgia, he got the ankle. Then he got the other ankle late in the game. The kid's a tough kid. And, our training staff, you got to give them a ton of credit because they've kept our guys healthy. They've gotten guys back. I haven't seen, he hasn't missed one rep in terms of his preparation for Oklahoma, which has been good for us. So, I think he looks good. He's had a good week of prep since we've been here and then even up in Tuscaloosa as we prepared. Right. Yeah, I think it's just the way we practice. We prepare our twos just like we prepare our ones. The way we practice, our twos get 40% of the reps anyway, the way we script things out. So, with Jalen, I think just all of the games that he's had opportunity to play in, he has a toolbox full of experience. Obviously dealing with being the number two, the big part for us is keeping his focus so that he prepares as if he's a starter, and he's been tremendous about making sure that his focus is on preparing that way. And, it showed in the last couple of drives there in the SEC championship game where he came in and bailed us out and played really well. Well, I think the big thing with him is, I can remember one of the things I told him in August is that somehow the world always has a way of righting itself. Because, when you go through going from being the number one guy to being the number two guy, and I told him it may not be here, but at some point, you'll understand why things happen, and you'll learn from this opportunity, or actually you'll learn from this experience. And he came in and played lights out on third down in the last couple of drives and took us down and scored the winning touchdown. So I felt like that night it kind of righted itself for him.
What have you seen from Oklahoma and the speed of their defense?
They're very opportunistic. I think if you look at the last 3 or 4 games, they've really made plays when they've needed to make plays. Number 19 is a really good player. 18 is a really good player. 11, they got a lot of guys over there that have great ball skills, great speed, like you said. So it's going to be a tremendous challenge for us, but we're excited about it.
What have you seen from their pass defense? Is that primarily man-to-man or zone?
Well, I think they're multiple. They operate a lot out of quarters. They play some two-man. They will lock down and play some man-free. I think they're very multiple in how they defend people, and we're going to have to find out how they want to play us early in the game to be able to make the adjustments we need to make.
What are some of their best moments on defense that you've seen?
Well, I think anytime, if you look at the West Virginia game, they had some big stops and made some plays there in that game. The Texas game in the championship, their defense has, like I said, has been really opportunistic in terms of making plays when they've needed to have those plays made.
What about the point of attack and their ability to stop the run and pass rush?
Yeah, I mean, I think, anytime you play their style of defense where they want to outnumber the box, they're play a three-down front mixing in some four-down stuff. Their linebackers are close to the line of scrimmage. Outnumbering the box is kind of how they want to play you and how they want to stop the run. They do a good job of playing blocks and getting off blocks up front. Again, they'll pose a great challenge for us, and we're excited to be able to go out and compete. Appreciate it. Thank you. No, not at all. I mean, we're professionals. We got a job to do. Right now my main focus is on making sure that we put together a great plan to give our players. I mean, I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to go to Maryland had it not been for the opportunity that Alabama presented me. And, I owe it to these guys, the players, the other coaches on our staff to make sure that my focus is on preparing us for Oklahoma. We've done a really good job of that all year long of how we've worked together as a staff. And, again, as a coordinator, you get a lot of the accolades, but we've got some really good guys in that room that have helped along the way this season, and the chemistry's great. Our players have done a really good job of executing the things that we've asked them to execute. Sure. I mean, Dan is just like the rest of those guys. Josh Gaddis, Dan Enos, Jeff Banks, Joe Panunzio. All those guys are experienced guys that have been in games like this. Josh was with Penn State in the Rose Bowl. Dan obviously has been a head coach. He's been a coordinator at Arkansas. Well-versed coach that has done a tremendous job with the development of our quarterbacks. And, I think Dan does a good job. Yep. Right. I think the big thing is that they will outnumber the box. I mean, as you said, they have a four-down front. They operate out of an odd front where they have the two outside backers down at the line of scrimmage. For us, we've got to have a really good plan that if they try to outnumber the box, of still trying to find a way to establish our ability to run the football. They play the run really well. They have the last few games. If you watch them, they've been very opportunistic on the defensive side of the ball in terms of making plays when they've needed those plays to be made. And I've been really impressed with how they've played the last few games.
Let's go back a little bit last year. Let's talk about the play. You may not know the terminology, with Tua at high school, they call it divide. Looks off the safety, comes back over the football field. He had just got sacked coming in. Next play comes in. What was going through your mind? What was his mind and everyone just saying, hey, let's go back and play over time?
Well, no, I think the big thing was, obviously when he took the sack, you try to stay a play ahead, and we get to 2nd and 26. I think after he took the sack, and I think Coach Dable Bryan, as a play caller, you always kind of know plays that your quarterback likes. I know on my call sheet, I have each of those guys put down 10 to 15 of the best plays in the plan, so that if they're struggling, you know what things to call. And he's always been a big Seattle fan. Tua has, and as you said, he did a tremendous job in a cover 2 look of baiting the safety with the inside number 3 guy coming down the chute, and then made a great throw, on the line throw to Smitty there to win the game. Wasn't surprising because we've seen the kid do it in practice, and he was able to execute it at a big moment for us.
First 5 games, you guys averaged 20 points.
Well, I think the big thing is the players, man. We got some really good players. Part of my challenge as a coordinator is making sure that people have to defend everyone. When they know you have a number 1 guy, they can roll coverage to him, and typically that takes that guy away. Well, we've tried all week, all year long to make sure that we have plays in the plan that defend, where they have to defend every guy. They got to defend the tight ends. They've got to defend our running backs, whether it's in a running game or passing game. And they've done a really good job for the most part of the execution. And that's what I've been most proud about, is these guys have executed the game plan to our liking. It's a great honor. Obviously, Jerry has reaped the benefits of overall us being really good on the offensive side of the ball. I think for Jerry, and he'll be the first to tell you, having guys like Ruggs and Smitty on the other side and Irv at tight end has created some favorable matchups, and he's taken advantage of it. Jerry has big playability. He's a guy that in the open field can make you miss. Probably one of our most natural route runners. So we're not surprised that he's been recognized as the top receiver, but I also think he'll be the first to tell you having those other guys around him has made it a little easier and has opened the door for him to make the plays he's made.
Now, before I let you get out of here on my game, Tua, let's talk about his intangibles. Aside of course completing passes, getting the following the X and O's, what really makes him separate? What separates him as the leader of the general of the offense?
I think from a skill set, I think it's his vision. The kid has unbelievable field vision where he sees things to almost before they happen, which we call it anticipation. Those are the two things that really jumped out when we first recruited him, when we first had the opportunity to see him play. But as far as his leadership, I think the big thing is everybody on the team loves the kid because he's so humble. He's the first guy to deflect any praise that he gets as the quarterback to his teammates, and that's the type of leadership you want out of your quarterback. And has been a tremendous player for us this year, and he's been great to coach.
America wants to know this. As an offensive coordinator, what goes through your mind? For example, you're in a game, your starting quarterback goes down with an injury. Instantly, you have to now put another quarterback in. Does your play call change with the personnel, or you still run with your system?
No, we've been real fortunate that with Jalen, who has had a ton of game experience for us. The offense really hasn't changed. Now, there's certain plays that I like or that Jalen likes. I can remember when Tua went down, I got Jalen on the telephone. I'm up in the box, and I basically went down the series of plays that he had that he liked. And I said, all right, so here's some of the things that I have on your menu. Anything else you like? And so the communication went that way. And I tell you what, he came in and he played really big for us on third down the stretch, and it made some big-time throws. And then, obviously, the touchdown run on the draw play.
Speaking of telephone calls from the booth down to the actual field, if your quarterback throws a pick, and we see at times on national television, they'll pick up that telephone, what's the conversation like between you and him?
Well, I think the big thing is, number one, you got to keep his confidence up, get things corrected. Fortunately, the way things have been set up this year for us, with Dan being on the sideline as the quarterback coach, we're able to get things corrected. Usually when I get those guys on the phone, I'm trying to build them back up, get them to calm down and kind of figure out why he made the decision, and then get it corrected. I mean, it's a teachable moment. It's correcting. We're always coaching and preparing them for the next series, the next play. Yep.
Coach, having to juggle two different jobs now, both in Maryland and in Tuscaloosa, was it more challenging than you thought, or how did you be able to split up your time last week?
It wasn't that challenging. The big thing is because it's a dead period for us, this time of year, the recruiting part kind of slows down, so that takes one thing off my plate. Obviously, I'm still recruiting. I'm still making the phone calls that we can make, but I also know that the best thing I can do as well was to make sure I give this team every opportunity to put together a plan that gives us a chance to win. Coach has had a plan in place. The way he's had to deal with this in the past with Jeremy Pruitt, obviously going to Tennessee last year, and Lane taking the FAU job, it wasn't new to us as a staff or as a team. So, I've been able to balance it. I'm going to take care of the job I have to do in preparing us for Oklahoma. And then whenever I'm done there, I put my Maryland hat on, and I'm trying to put things in place, a foundation in place, hiring some coaches, recruiting, setting things up so that once my time is done here and we play our last game here, I can hit the ground running for Maryland.
Not all players are going to be on your staff when you get another opportunity to take another job. That's the nature of the business. But it seems like these guys have all been really supportive. What has that been like to have them support you and be excited for you for this opportunity?
Well, I think they all recognize that they're part of the reason that I was given that opportunity, and I'm the first to tell you, had I not come to Bama and been the offensive coordinator with these guys, these big-time players, that I probably wouldn't have the opportunity I have at Maryland. So I think these guys have been good all year. They've played their tails off for us. They've gone out and executed. They've done some things that have never been done on offense here, and I've been really proud to be the coach. Well, they play good defense. The thing that I noticed that they're very opportunistic, meaning, they make the plays they need to make when they need them. I know Ruffin has taken over the defense here the last 5 or 6 weeks, and you can see that he's putting his imprint on the defense. And the thing that really jumped out, if you look at the games versus West Virginia, the games versus Texas, where they've been close games, their defense has come up with plays they've needed to make to help those guys win. And I know their offense gets a lot of credit, but their defense has found ways to make plays.
Now, when you look at Kyler Murray, if you looked at him at all, what makes him different as a quarterback? Because he just seems to kind of not be the typical.
Well, the good thing is I haven't seen much Kyler Murray tape because we don't have crossover film. And, the way we watch it, I see nothing but their defense. So I can tell you about number 19. I can tell you about number 18, 11, and those players they have up front, 72. From what I've seen of Kyler, just having opportunities to maybe see bits and pieces of him on TV, big-time player, electric with the ball in his hands, can beat you running or throwing. So, very deserving of all the accolades and praises that he's gotten.
It's so rare that we see a crossover sport guy like him where he's preparing to go play Major League Baseball, but also succeed in college football. What kind of, I guess not only talent set, but time commitment with that? You see the time commitment of these players, but to have to do it for separate sports at the same time, it seems pretty remarkable.
It is. We had a guy Keith Newcomb, who did both football and baseball for us at Alabama last season, and it is a time commitment. Obviously, I think when you do two sports like that, you understand that something's going to have to give, and typically it's the social aspect of the college lifestyle, and obviously to be able to balance playing baseball, playing football, and then deal with the academics, you can tell that kid has his head on straight and has his priorities in order.